Good morning. I'm Lindsay Reiser at the CBS Broadcast Center. It is 8 a.m. Eastern time on this Sunday, and we continue to follow breaking news. Multiple U.S. law enforcement agencies this morning are investigating the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania yesterday.
Take a look at what happened.
Blair, can I get... That is the moment the shooting happened just after 6 p.m. Eastern Saturday. The presumptive Republican nominee had walked on stage, and about 6 minutes later, shots were heard. The shooting left the Republican candidate bleeding from the ear. Trump dropped to the ground for cover and was immediately sworn by Secret Service agents. He was eventually escorted off stage and into a waiting motorcade car. The former president was treated and released from a local hospital Saturday night. One other person attending the rally was killed, 2 others critically injured. The shooter was killed by federal agents. In a post on Truth Social, Donald Trump said in part, quote, "I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin." The FBI has identified the shooter as 20-year-old Thomas Crooks from Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, about an hour from the rally. Law enforcement agents were seen conducting a search on what is believed to be the home of the now deceased shooter. The FBI has taken the lead in the investigation and said last night it will be ongoing for some time.
There's going to be a long investigation into exactly what took place and how the individual was able to get access to the location, what type of weapon he had, all that. It is really days, weeks, and months of investigation.
I'm joined now by CBS News congressional correspondent Scott McFarland and CBS News campaign reporter Olivia Rinaldi. They were both part of the team covering the rally when the shooting took place. Good morning to both of you. Happy to see you are both okay after what happened. Scott, walk us through what happened from your perspective covering the rally.
A monumental and shattering failure. What it should have been a uniquely safe event. There were families here. There were groups here. There were thousands of people who camped out all day here under the assumption this was going to be a political rally at which they were protected. And because of the failure, a series of shots we all heard about 6 or 7 minutes into the former president's speech wounded the former president, killed one of the rally goers, critically injured 2 more, and did untold damage to the fabric of the country. So many of us conflated those initial explosive noises as fireworks. Sounds like somebody had set off a series of 6 to 8 fireworks in the backyard. When it became known, or at least suspected about 10 seconds later, that we had to get cover, that it might be something more sinister, that it might be gunshots, we were among the few who had the luxury of somewhere to take cover. We were standing on those elevated press risers that were behind the crowd next to the cameras. We were able to jump down and get beneath the risers. But for this crowd, which was jammed in like a rock concert, standing room only, shoulder to shoulder, there was nowhere to hide. There was no ability to take cover. And I think so many people, as they exited here, were trying to process, Lindsay, something our generation's never seen before. We saw Trump rally goers embracing in tears after, checking on each other. Just a unifyingly tragic event.
Olivia, you were recording some of the immediate aftermath while also, as Scott was saying, trying to duck for cover. What was happening for you in that moment?
I mean, as Scott said, it was just harrowing and hectic in that moment. You could hear those successive shots, and I was standing just behind Scott on the riser, and someone pulled me down onto the ground. As I continued to hear the shots, there were people in front of me crouching down, and I decided to pop up just a little bit and take some videos, trying to see what was going on. You can hear the screams. You can hear more of the bullets whizzing by. And, you know, ultimately I could see the crowd starting to get up. And that's when I started to get up off the ground. And I could see former President Donald Trump bloodied. And I could see him throwing his fist into the air and the crowd getting riled up with that. You know, after that moment, Donald Trump got taken into the motorcade where he was quickly whisked away. And then just utter pandemonium broke out. People were scared. People were running. police were running by trying to figure out what was going on. They cleared out the bleachers to the left of Donald Trump. And Lindsay, after they cleared out those bleachers, we could see a lot of blood that was on those bleachers. That's unfortunately where a man had passed away earlier in the evening after he was shot.
Scott, whom we saw cool and calm and collected in that footage, in those circumstances. Scott, what's the Trump team saying?
Well, we had the luxury of somewhere to hide. I know as somebody who jumped off those rafters, equipment fell on top of us, and we suffered the blows and found a place to get away from some of the chaos. But you can't unhear the screams of the people who didn't have that luxury. Children, people in wheelchairs, people who had spent 7 to 8 hours baking in the sun to get the good seat, you know, the ones right up front within close sight of the former president. And you can't unsee the people colliding with each other, trying to find somewhere to go because there was nowhere to go. I think what helped level and ground the crowd was that the former president popped up and defiantly raised his fist. That helped. But I also can tell you, and Olivia can back me up on this, some in the crowd, some turned on us, started gesturing at us, screaming at us, cursing at us, blaming us on the media risers for what had happened. That did cool off. I think the former president bouncing up and defiantly championing his well-being helped cool off what was going to be a very hot crowd.
And Olivia, that said, what are we hearing from the former president? What is the scene like this morning?
It's quite locked down here this morning, just driving around trying to find a place to talk to you. Everything is pretty locked down. There's an incredible amount of police presence here because this is an active crime scene. They are still investigating who this person is, how he got here, how he got on top of that structure to be able to take that shot. We are hearing from the former president today saying he's feeling okay, saying that there's more to come. He will be in Milwaukee. We still have the Republican National Convention this week. There's still a major news story where Trump becomes the official Republican nominee and he has to name a vice president. So all of this is coming at a very contentious moment, Lindsay, a very fraught political moment in the country. But also there are specific things that the Republican Party needs to do to formally nominate Donald Trump and move forward with the election to November. So I suspect there will be a lot of news unfolding in the coming days, not only as this investigation unfolds here, but also as we learn the steps the campaign is going to take forward, whether or not they're going to have rallies like this outdoors. You know,
right.
These rallies are so typical for the Trump campaign. I go to one at least once a week as of late and covering them. And so it'll be interesting to see if that's still the posture, if Secret Service is going to allow them to hold these outside, or if it will be strictly indoors with tons more security and perhaps even smaller events going forward just to mitigate the security risks.
Right. And Scott, we don't want to focus too much on the shooter, but what are we learning?
20 years old, Thomas Crooks is his name. He's from about an hour away in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. And for a 20-year-old, he is distinguishable in that he does not have much of a social media presence to mine through or look through. An hour away means he's not from Butler County, Pennsylvania. To give you a bit of a sense of Butler County, Pennsylvania, you're north of Pittsburgh in a county that is Trump 2-1 in the last election. And the local congressman who represents this area, Lindsay, told the crowd they love this venue where the event was, the Butler County Agricultural Farm Fair area, because you can get a big crowd inside and easily accommodate a Trump-sized crowd. We haven't gotten estimates yet from a fire marshal or somebody official, but clearly there were thousands of people here. And some of them arrived as early as 6:45 in the morning. Those are the people who got the front row seats and had a sadly uniquely close-up perspective of what happened.
We just got an update from the hospital. No change in that 2 patients are still in critical condition at a hospital in that area. To echo Scott's words, damage inflicted to the fabric and fiber of our country. We're so happy that both of you are okay and taking care of yourselves in this time. Scott McFarland, Olivia Rinaldi, thank you.